Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Tom Worth Jr. And today I wanted to celebrate the kickoff of the Sunday NFL season with discussing some, uniformity of comments, of talking points that you see from the conservatives. I will say conservatives, the right, Trump supporters, whatever you want to term it. And it's an interesting phenomenon because I don't see it, as I've mentioned before, widespread support in the comment section from viewers. And I love that, and it really keeps me going. But there are just a few, I guess the term I would use are talking points when I get the criticism from the other side. And those do get mixed in. I'm having fun with those. I was listening to someone deliver some information to a group of people today, and was not welcome information. It's about parking lot or parking or something like that. But at the end, he says, and if you have any complaints about this information, please do not direct them to me. And I thought that was funny. He's the messenger. And it reminded me of this, how I take the opposite tact. If you have complaints about things, please do direct them to me. It lets me address things that I think could be addressed or are worthy of being addressed. Much of it is not. But I don't just like the complaints. I like the other stuff way better. But complaints, the uniformity of the talking points. And it comes down to certain things like inflation, like immigration, border security. A term I see is forever wars. And obviously none of this is a thing. Take, for instance, forever wars. What did Joe Biden do? He got us out of Afghanistan. What did Donald Trump always talk about doing? Getting us out of Afghanistan. He never did. He either couldn't figure it out or never intended to in the first place. I don't know. But people don't like American soldiers in harm's way. Nobody likes that. I don't like that. Certainly the right doesn't like that. The left doesn't like that. Nobody likes that. There is a question over what is worth putting American troops in harm's way. That's where the debate comes in with foreign policy. Joe Biden got in and got our troops out of Afghanistan very quickly, shockingly quickly. It fell back into Taliban hands, which everyone knew would happen. That's why we needed to get out. We were never going to. That country is too factionalized. You're not going to make a difference there. The difference is Biden did it, Trump didn't. So when you're talking about a forever war, we were in Afghanistan for many, many years because we knew that's what it would take to try to make a difference. In the end, we had to get out. Trump did not ever get us out. Biden immediately got us out. So what are you talking about with forever war? Well, you're probably talking about Ukraine, which we are funding with money, with weapons, not American lives. And that's the kind of thing where if you are going to do battle against an enemy like Russia, you don't want to risk your own lives. You don't want to have it risk damage to your own country on your own soil. You want to fight that conflict on someone else's soil. And that's where the conflict is being waged. Nobody wants this conflict except for Vladimir Putin. He is the only one in the world who wants this conflict. Ukraine is defending themselves. And yes, we do help with arms and with money. So do a lot of Western European nations. And this is not the kind of forever war that should fall under the same category as something like Afghanistan or Iraq or Vietnam. People also forget that Trump almost started World War III when he was in office. with stirring things up against Iran. Nobody wanted to go to war with Iran except for maybe John Bolton. That's why we all panicked when Trump brought John Bolton on. He would have gotten us into a war if left to his own devices, I will say. But cooler heads prevailed. We did have people in the military advising against it. This is something that Trump almost inadvertently started. I suppose it would be inadvertent. He's not. You never know why he's doing what he's doing. You can always see why it's bad. Going back to the talking points and the uniformity of the talking points, that's just one example, the forever war. Another one is inflation. Obviously, we all know when the inflation started. It started during Trump's term in office. It was exacerbated by COVID relief, $3 trillion, which Congress and Donald Trump passed in 2020. That had to be done. That had to lead to inflation. Nobody with any economic understanding would expect just handing over $3 trillion to Americans would not lead to inflation. Trump's economic policies made it worse with the tariffs, with the trade wars. That made everything cost even more. But just injecting $3 trillion in a matter of months into the U.S. economy, that's going to lead to inflation. So what do we have to do? We have to stop inflation as soon as we can. And we start doing, okay, so the stimulus works. It keeps the economy from imploding. But by 2022, we see that not only is the economy not imploding, but prices are continuing to run away. And so we have to start raising interest rates to combat this. What Trump said he would do? He said he would like to be in charge of interest rates rather than the Fed. So what would he have done? He would have kept them low. Okay, more affordable mortgages, more affordable car notes, right? Well, you see how over the past 2 years, inflation has just destroyed things. Now, it's under control now. Over the last several months, it stopped and will be reversing. That's because the Fed kept raising interest rates and kept interest rates high to combat inflation. No one in their right mind thinks that Donald Trump would have raised interest rates and kept them high in the face of pain for mortgage rates and auto loan rates. That would have just, those rates would have stayed low and inflation would have just went through the roof. Like you think this was terrible inflation, and it was relative to recent times, but we capped out at like 7% or so for mortgage rates. I remember when we moved down to Texas in the late 70s, my parents had, I believe, a 14% mortgage rate. And eventually things came down in the 80s and early 90s. And when it got down to 7%, that was shocking. That was, oh my gosh, we've never seen rates this low. Then it got down even lower, and then the economic crisis came along. So what do you do to protect the economy? You lower interest rates to prevent collapse and recession. Again, we did this during COVID. It made interest rates just extraordinarily artificially low. We were never going to keep 3% mortgages. That's just not sustainable. So you need someone like a Joe Biden who was reliant on the Fed to manage the economy, and they did, and inflation stopped, and it's been stopped for a while, and rates are coming down now. So, and they haven't even cut interest rates yet at the Fed yet. That'll happen this month for the first time in a couple years. So, another talking point there. Another talking point is immigration. This is something that Fox News has been hammering on forever. like even before Donald Trump. But it's a scare tactic. All of these things are scare tactics. And why am I talking about these now in the uniformity of these comments, these talking points? Because there is an organization called RT. It's a Russia-based organization, Russia Today. And it's just a propaganda organization. And they have deployed, and I'm reading this, deployed nearly $10 million to covertly finance and direct a Tennessee-based online content creation company with English language videos on multiple social media channels, including TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube. This is a DOJ filing, by the way. This is since publicly launching in or about November of last year. They haven't even been around yet, this U.S. Tennessee-based company. RT's been around forever. They've posted nearly 2,000 videos, and they contain commentary on events and issues in the U.S. such as immigration, inflation, and other topics related to domestic and foreign policy. While the views expressed in the videos are not uniform, I disagree, they are uniform. Most are directed to the publicly stated goals of the government of Russia and RT, quote, to amplify domestic divisions in the United States. This is Russia's tactic, amplifying divisions in the United States. This is and I hate to even bring up that it's a DOJ charge, because this is something else that Trump has tried to undermine, the very system of justice in the United States. He makes the Department of Justice the enemy. He makes the FBI the enemy, the CIA. Who else is the DOJ and the FBI and the CIA of? Well, it's the enemy of. They're the enemy of Russia. They are the enemy of criminals in the United States. So why are they the enemy of Donald Trump? Ask yourself this. Why does Donald Trump continually attack those groups? Well, because he's aligned with Russia and he is a criminal. So, it doesn't take much to make that leap. I'm throwing a lot out at you, I know, but it's just something that I see in my comments. And when I see the support, it comes from all over the place. It mostly comes from people saying, thank you for saying these things. They need to be said. Or, oh, I forgot about that during COVID. I forgot that Trump did this back in 2019. I forgot about the economic tariff. This is what I'm doing. I'm reminding people of what Trump actually did. I'm not threatening you with things he might do. I'm bringing up things that he actually did and has said himself that he will do them again. All of the Kamala Harris attacks are never based on anything she says herself or has done herself. They're always based on these talking points about, oh, she'll probably do this, or also she's a communist. They're laughable, and they're not based in any reality. That is the definition of propaganda. If you repeat something enough times, and these people keep watching, and they keep hearing, they keep listening, eventually it becomes their reality. That's what propaganda is. It's fear-based, it's false, and it's repeated ad nauseum. Tell me something that Kamala Harris is repeating. She's talking about hope. She's talking about the future. She's talking about all kinds of, nothing really specifically comes to mind because it's not propaganda. It's not a talking point. She's not trying to hammer some lie into your ears enough times so that it becomes reality in your brain. She's just not doing that. She's just talking about things, policies that make sense for the United States and its citizens. She's talking about a middle-class tax cut. That's great. She's talking about helping people who need help. That's great. She's not just making things up and paying $10 million to influencers to peddle those messages on social media. That when you see the same people making the same points that are not true, you may think that they could become true, but they have never happened. And where are you hearing that they're going to happen? Ask yourself where you're getting your information from, versus actual things that have happened, like this DOJ case. That actually happened. They actually have the receipt. That's called evidence. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about propaganda versus reality. And when I see these same 3 or 4 talking points in my comments, that is just propaganda. That is what we are all up against. Not just the people who will vote blue, but the people who are going to vote for Trump. Like, you are up against this, and you voluntarily consume this information all day, every day. And hopefully you're watching this. Hopefully this makes you look at something else for a minute, and it makes you question the sources of this propaganda. Russia is still, never has been, never will be a friend of the United States. The KGB, which is what formed Vladimir Putin, will never be acting in the best interest of the United States and its citizens. So anything that aligns with that, and by the way, Donald Trump saying Kamala Harris is a communist does not make her a communist. There's nothing communist about her. You see it yourself. You see Donald Trump throwing. He's always trying to create nicknames. That's what he does. He's in 2nd grade on the playground, calling people names. And when something seems to stick, when he sees it repeated by Fox News or by some of these other right-wing organizations, and I know what they are from the comments. I'm just not giving them any airtime here because they're ridiculous. That's when he can tell he's getting a little bit of traction, and he'll keep throwing them out. But he's never dealing in reality. He's never dealing in facts. He's always attacking things. He's always deflecting blame for his own criminal activities. These are facts. These are evidence. These are juries. That's just reality. And I would implore you to seek out reality and to cut back on the propaganda. Just try. That's my hope. That's it for today. Hope everyone has a great rest of the weekend, and we'll talk tomorrow. Bye-bye.